So now we're ready to start learning and practicing the second section of Unity in Motion. And the second section of Unity in Motion begins with a movement that is called Descending Harmony, in which we learn how to go from the stanza of the first section to go into the floor, and arriving in the floor in a place that we call 0 point seated. And I'll explain it to you as we do it. But the most important thing to remember is that in the beginning we will show you the form of how you're getting down. But as you begin to practice and begin to do it, remember that this form, going from the stanza to going to the floor, is optional for you, in the sense that it's important that you feel secure and comfortable how you're going to do that, and do it in a way that it feels natural to you. And then as we get to the floor and you begin to practice, then we can get more and more to the form that we're teaching you, and then we find a way that you feel totally, as I said, comfortable, secure and fluid, going from the stanza to 0 point. Start in the movement, start when we ended the last movement, which is in crown. Remember that we did mooning around the crown twice, then we did horizon and above the crown, we did the spherical mandala, and then we did the forward release. And the forward release ended up in crown. Here we are. Yeah? Now we'll start the same way that we did all the other movements. We start in the sphere of earth, 1, 2, 3, and we're in foundation. And now, as we go in, raising to foundation, the movement will be very approximate as it was touching balance. So we're raising the energy, we're bending the knees, we're moving the spine very gently forward. And when you get all the way down here, you go with your hands first and you're bending your feet from the knees, you see, to the knees to be comfortable. And then just let the knees just go down very gently here, and then you swivel the body, and then you are in 0 point right here. Okay? And then what I would like to do is to assist you right away to find out your legs and to put a pillow under you so you feel comfortable with the knees in the beginning. So how about do this again together, and then from here then we can continue. Okay? Wonderful. So here we go. We don't want to come back. Just here, we are in the energy. We're going back to the floor. We got the stanza. 5, 6, 7. And if we start in 0 point, we're going to go to crown, right? In order to complete crown, in order to start the movement. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, descending harmony. 2, 3, 4, touching balance. Go with your weight and bending your knees very gently. Allow the space for the knees. Here we are, and then swivel the body. And here we are in 0 point seated. I'm going to move a little bit this way so the camera can see me more clearly, right here. And here you are. This is called crisscross 0 point balance. And I'm going to explain to you details about it so it becomes simple for you. Okay? The first detail that you learn once you sit is finding the pelvis, a place in the pelvis, and the way that you can do it as you begin to place yourself. You can lift yourself with your hands and make sure that your hip is at the center, the seated bone are at the center of yourself, so the pelvis is not going under you, or the pelvis is not totally in top of the joint itself of the hip. So just being at the center of the hip, all right? Wonderful. So in a second, I'm going to put a pillow for you actually right away. When I put a pillow under you in order to explain certain things about the knees, okay? Because certain people, when you sit on the floor cross-legged, they're not comfortable in this place. It's uncomfortable because the knees, they can't go farther than this down sometimes. And the reason when that is happening is that the lower back is a little tight, and the spine sometimes is not yet spirally open. And sometimes the size of somebody's torso is different. Remember that we all have different sizes in the skeleton. So sometimes we think that, oh, I cannot do this movement, and you think that something is wrong with you. It's not necessary. It's that the skeleton has a different size. So it's important that if you feel problems in your knees, that you feel like you can't open the knees completely, then you put a pillow on the floor. And like a pillow like this size, or a pillow larger than this, would be nice too. Now, the most important thing, that when you sit in the floor with a pillow, you sit at the center of the pillow. If this is the center of the pillow, my two seated bones will be right here. It's important, and I explain to you why as we do it. So here we go. Put the pillow under the floor. Here I am seated, right there. And then the reason that I said that to you, because sometimes when we use a pillow, sometimes we think that I want it to slide down from the pillow, that I sit at the edge of it. But if I slide in from the pillow, and I'm encrusting the hip joint into the socket. And in Unity in Motion, we don't want to lock any joint. On the contrary, we want it to become loose. So I'll ask you to sit at the center of the pillow, so you feel like your legs then become loose. So if you need even a larger pillow, it doesn't matter how high it is, as long as you feel that your knees have this movement a little bit. So you don't feel like you are creating effort and all of a sudden you lock with the legs. Yeah? Also important that you don't sit back from the pillow, because if you sit back from the pillow, then you're falling back. So remember, discovering the center of the pillow is just as important as discovering 0 point in the chair. Remember when we define 0 point, okay? Now, also it's important that when you open your legs in here, you don't feel like if the more you open your legs, the best is for you. Because sometimes we think, okay, if I open these legs like that much, okay, I can open the leg, and that's good. But what happens is that if you open the legs too much, you're pushing the joint back again into you, and then you create a circle around the lower back. So you're opening to the expenses of pushing the lower back in and up. So in sit and 0 point, you're just looking for a comfortable place to sit. Sometimes the smaller is the better. Yeah, not so big. But the most important thing is, if you can avoid it, not to go on top of the hill with the other leg, but to be open here like that. And also what you could do in the beginning is you can put 2 pillows, one under each knee, and then the supporting of each knee allow your mind to relax a little bit, because then I said, okay, I'm supported, so I can be here for a few seconds. All right? As we continue with more information about 0 point seated, another thing that I would like to ask you, sometimes, we get this idea that if I get my feet here and then I'm just going to here, that I can feel more comfortable. But remember that is good sometimes, because it makes you feel like you're going up, but then you're locking the knee again in, and the energy may not necessarily flow freely. If you push in the knees and you lock it, it's like locking the joint or the elbow. So just avoid that as well, and just allow yourself to be comfortable here and exploring yourself. Okay, if I open too much, I push the joint in. If I open too little, I may not feel the power of opening the knees. So what will be the point? That my hip can be free, that can I adjust my hip in the floor, so I feel like I'm in the center of space. And now I find the center of space again. Here I am. And now remember that the left arm and the left shoulder correspond to the right hip and the right leg, and vice versa, the other side. So you have the right and the left and the torso, the solar plexus, the pelvic floor, the pelvis and the pelvic floor, the throat, which is the balance between the right side of the head and the left shoulder, and the right side of the head and the right shoulder, the throat and the top of the head, and the crown, which is the top of the atlas and the spine, and then the third eye through the crown and to here to be the vertical extension. And here we are in 0 point. Wonderful. And in 0 point, remember, in the chair, sometimes we go into this direction, or you can go into this direction. Either way, whatever you feel comfortable right now, for now. And then to begin to spend a few seconds here. And then the most important thing, to start being comfortable. If you are getting uncomfortable in the knee, then what I ask you to do is to move the hip back. You are in the seated bone. Move the center back, and then your knee will become free. And then when your knee becomes free, allow your knees, just the legs to become free here, and then just come back and just be here for a second. Just for a few moments, you know what I mean? just to make sure that you are a little bit circular here and so forth. Now, once you feel like you're ready to come back, bring the center back and then let that knee open, your feet open, bring yourself, open the knees, and then to come back from above, bring yourself from above, and here you are back in 0 point. Yeah? So the most important thing that when you define a placement, that you look for the place that is more comfortable for you, because if you are uncomfortable, it means that something is not right. And you don't need to be here for a long time. You just can be here for a few seconds and then move, okay? So from here, remember you can move the hip back, you allow one knee to move, you allow the knee to move, and you can go to this place. And this place, this is called suspended heart, right here in your elbow, or you can go around, bring your feet closer to you for a few seconds, right there, yeah? You also have this alternative. When you go from seated here, you can bring one foot forward, you adjust the hip, and you can just be here for a few seconds. This is called a diamond of your legs for us. So it's just a place that you feel like, here I am, it's not a big deal. I'm not going to lock myself to define the placement, yeah? So returning to 0 point, you can move the center back, you bring one knee, you bring the other knee, you adjust yourself in the pelvis and the pillow, remember. Then you find vertical, you put if you need to have the pillows under your knees, you put the pillows under your knees. So make sure you can have a lovely rug under you or something cushioned so you feel like you're comfortable. And then here you are in 0 point. And remember, in 0 point you just go crown, right and left in the head, and the atlas, right and left in the shoulders, via the arms, the center of your chest, your heart, the throat, the solar plexus, the pelvis, which is the connection to your legs, and the pelvic floor, which is the point of departure from which you feel the floor and you feel the crown, right there. And then you spend time in 0 point. So there are 3 places that you can work here: in the definition of 0 point, in the release of 0 point by bringing the knees, as I said, moving back and bringing the knees and finding this place for a second. Or you can have this other place, remember this one, just to go into here and just find this place here. Wonderful. And then here, if you want to, you can move forward a little bit, you see, just to make sure that you're loosening up here. The most important thing is to feel that you're loose, that you don't define a placement by making your skeleton to be fixed. On the contrary, just light. Yeah? Wonderful. So you have this placement, you have this placement, you have 0 point right here. And now I'm going to show you another place. Remember when we went around the crown? You can make it a little bit larger here. Instead of going around here, you can make it around this big, and then allow yourself to fold a little bit, and you can just fold the spine to be comfortable in this place. This is what some people sometimes associate this placement with meditation. It's like an inner arc, and it's comfortable, it's good. So sometimes you can spend a little time in this inner arc that in Unity in Motion is called deity. And you will learn this placement in the 4th section of Unity in Motion. So you have this placement, which is a form of relaxation, an inner arc to rest for a while and be with you for a while. And then you have, by opening the field, you have 0 point balance, which is the arrival and the beginning of the next movement.